Jeffrey Epstein was a spy?
I believe very strongly he was a spy, yes.
And who do you think he was working for?
The Israelis. I'm confident it was the Israelis.
Why?
Jeffrey Epstein is kind of the stereotypical example that they give you in training for what's called an access agent. This is a different kind of recruit. So, for example, if you're a foreign intelligence service and you want information, like close-in information from a former president, from the CEO of the biggest company in the world, from a member of the British royal family, you're not going to recruit these guys. You're not going to recruit Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Prince Andrew. So you do the next best thing. You recruit somebody who has regular access to them. And that person that you recruit is going to need to make these people feel comfortable and appreciated. And so you give him plenty of money. So he has this house on an island, or he has the whole island. And maybe you bring in young girls, you get them in compromising positions, just in case you need to use what's called compromat, compromising pictures. We know now that Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island had video cameras, hidden video cameras, in literally every room, including the bathrooms. Why? Why would he care what was going on, unless it was to use that information against people? As I said, only the Israelis and the Russians use extortion as a motivator.
So would they have made Jeffrey Epstein rich?
Yeah.
In order to give him that access?
Yes.
How could they have done that?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, you do. I mean, governments are the only ones really that can launder money unfettered. And you can also do it through real estate, through fine art, and through horses. Those are the three easiest ways to launder money today. Fine art, real estate, and racehorses.
But presumably he would have spoken out at some point, no? He would have said something, or?
No. But it would explain why he got a sweetheart deal in 2006. I mean, this is a guy that's been convicted of child sex crimes. And he gets 6 months of house arrest with an ankle bracelet? We have mandatory minimums in this country. That's a 5-year mandatory minimum, first offense.
He definitely had some interesting power, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah! Yes, he did. He certainly has some power. All right, folks, we are back here on WLTH. It's 92.7 in the FM dial. If you're nasty, it is 6:56 in the PM here on February the 6th, 2026. The future is here. The future is now. And you hear former CIA agent John Kiriakou talking about his belief that Jeffrey Epstein was indeed a spy. Basically accumulating compromat to use against political figures, business figures, cultural figures. You want to know how the world goes round, how the world revolves? That's what makes the world revolve. Compromat. This is why they all do what Israel tells them to do, basically. This is why they all do what they are told to do. Whether they're Democrats or Republicans, doesn't matter. All right, folks, we're just breaking down the Epstein Files. We broke down the political figures. Now we can get into the business and the entertainment figures. Obviously, Rupert Murdoch, the owner of Fox and Fox News, he's in there. Emails imply that Jeffrey Epstein actually stayed at Rupert Murdoch's houses for four years after being legally required to register as a sex offender. Now, why would one of the richest men in the world want a registered sex offender staying in his house? I don't know, but that's something somebody should ask him. Elon Musk, there are email exchanges between Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein, where Elon Musk is practically begging to be able to come to Epstein Island. So Elon Musk is going around saying, I rejected Jeffrey Epstein. I wanted nothing to do. Well, that's not what the files say. The files say that Elon Musk was literally begging to come to Epstein Island. He actually told Vanity Fair, Elon Musk, in 2019 that Epstein was obviously a creep and claimed that Epstein tried to repeatedly get me to visit his island, but that he declined. Well, that's not what the emails say, Elon. That is not what the emails say. The emails say that you were practically begging. And not only that, Jeffrey Epstein took a tour of one of Elon Musk's factories. That's also in the files. And not only that, Elon Musk's transgender son or daughter, I don't know exactly how this would work, actually validated what's in the emails. The kid actually said, yeah, we were in St. Bart's at the time that the email said that we were in St. Bart's in the Caribbean at the time that Elon was begging to be able to go to Epstein Island. And Elon is talking about wanting to let loose. He wanting to let loose on an island, a private island? Now, one of the most explosive revelations in the latest batch of the Epstein Files involves Bill Gates, who obviously the co-founder of Microsoft, the man who was behind a lot of our vaccine response to COVID, which is a big part of the reason I didn't trust the COVID vaccine and I didn't take it. Sue me, but it is what it is. Emails from Epstein show that he actually claimed to have damaging information about Bill Gates, including allegations that Gates sought treatment for sexually transmitted diseases. Damn! Yes! Bill caught the clap or something. Linked to encounters with Russian hookers. Yeah. The documents include a draft statement that Epstein allegedly wrote accusing Gates of asking for antibiotics to treat the after effects of such encounters. These claims have been strongly rejected by Gates' representatives. The documents also include communications between Epstein and Boris Nikolic, a longtime advisor to Bill Gates, and these Epstein show Epstein allegedly facilitating what he described as illicit trysts for Bill Gates. One email even claims that Gates asked Epstein to delete sensitive information related to these alleged encounters, as well as an affair with Russian bridge player named Mila Antonova. Now, this is what Bill Gates had to say. I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe Bill here.
I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him. No, apparently Jeffrey wrote an email to himself. That email was never sent. The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
Yeah, I don't know, Bill. I don't know about that, Bill. They said that he actually was looking for antibiotics and trying to slip it into his wife's food because he was afraid that he had infected his wife with an STD. Good God, man. Woo, man. But for her part, I will say this: Bill Gates' ex-wife, Melinda Gates, is not running from this whatsoever. She's straight up taking it. She's addressing it head on. This is what she had to say about the latest revelations from the Epstein Files. This is Melinda French Gates about her former husband, Bill Gates.
Well, let me say this. I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all of the various people around him. No girl I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking, right? I remember being those ages those girls were. I remember my daughters being those ages, right? So for me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I purposely pushed it away and I moved on. I'm in a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life. So whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
And I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
She just threw his whole behind under the bus. And good for her. I am no fan of billionaires. And you know I listen to the show. If you listen to the show, you know I'm no fan of billionaires. But Melinda Gates is okay with me. She has not hesitated to throw Bill under the bus as much as possible since they have been divorced, and I'm here for it. Her and Mackenzie Bezos. I love it. You have Sergey Brin, who is the co-founder of Google. He's also in the files. Photos and earlier communications show him at Epstein's properties and in meetings facilitated by Ghislaine Maxwell. Him and his ex-wife, Anne Wojcicki, allegedly visited Epstein's island. A victim actually testified that she met Brin and his ex-wife when she was his fiance during a day trip to Little James Island. She said her passport was taken and she was sexually abused by Epstein and others. So, I mean, good Lord. This is Google. I mean, Google is another one of the most integral parts of all of our lives here. If you use the internet, you're probably using Google in some capacity or a Google service, whether it's Google Chrome, whether it's the Google search engine, whether it's YouTube. I mean, I'm on YouTube right now. That's owned by Google. Also a name we keep bringing up, Peter Thiel. Email shows Epstein offering support for the legal actions Thiel financed through. The emails show Epstein offering support for legal actions that Thiel financed. 2016 exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Thiel really gets to the heart of the Epstein project. They actually start talking about destroying whole economies. Like this email is insane. Epstein is talking about Brexit, which happened in the UK, where the United Kingdom basically voted to separate itself from the rest of Europe and the European Union. Epstein says in the email, Brexit is just the beginning. And Peter Thiel says, of what? Epstein replies, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. So these people are literally, these are some of the richest people in the world talking about how they are okay with collapsing the world's economy and collapsing much of Europe's economy, especially if they can essentially get on the ground floor of the rebuild. I mean, that's, again, this dude didn't even graduate from college. And so, I mean, it's insane the amount of access that this man had to these the most powerful people on the planet. There's other people in the files like Peter Douglas, who is the Canadian founder of Street Kids International. This was a charity that was supposed to look out for street kids around the world. Well, he was also a pedophile, a convicted sex offender, and until 2015, he was the country representative for the United Nations habitat in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan. Remember, I told you guys I think this was a few months ago, this was in November, about the guy who shot up who killed those National Guard troops near the White House, he was one of the street kids who was sex trafficked in Afghanistan. And he came back here. He came here as an Afghan refugee, went nuts, obviously, from the abuse that he had suffered being trafficked, and killed a bunch of people at the National Guard up at the Capitol. I mean, this is the type of stuff we're dealing with here. Another woman who runs an adoption charity. Now, this is really chilling. Her name is Susan Hamblin. She founded an adoption charity and asked Epstein if he needed any new stakes for his island because he only had 2 left. Now, she's obviously speaking in code. What is a stake? And why would he need new stakes for his island? So again, this is a woman who founds a adoption charity. Les Wexner, who was the Victoria's Secret's founder, he was Jeffrey Epstein's primary benefactor, who gave Epstein power of attorney over his finances, transferred his New York City mansion to him for $1, managed vast assets, and provided the initial wealth pipeline that enabled Epstein's lifestyle and operation. He also gave Jeffrey Epstein a mansion on his private estate in New Albany, Ohio, and paid Epstein $400 million for services between 1987 and 2017. Yeah, like this is. You have Leon Black, who's the Apollo Global Management co-founder. He paid Jeffrey Epstein $158 million after his conviction for tax and real estate advice. You have Jean-Luc Brunel, who is actually the founder of a modeling agency called the MC2 Modeling Agency. He was accused of raping and trafficking dozens of minors and supplied girls to Jeffrey Epstein. He allegedly also committed suicide in a French jail in 2022 while he was awaiting trial. Richard Branson, Barack Obama's boyfriend that you always see them hang gliding and paragliding with, the founder of Virgin Records and Virgin Airlines and all this other thing, that's Richard Branson. The files show an email exchange between Branson and Epstein. Branson wrote to Epstein, "It was really nice seeing you yesterday," and added, "Anytime you're in the area, I would love to see you as long as you bring your harem." Yeah. Yeah. In entertainment figures, Woody Allen, of course, the pervert that he is, he's in the files. He had text exchanges with Epstein that references girls. So, again, knowing what we know about Woody Allen, this shouldn't be too surprising. Brett Ratner, who was the director of Rush Hour with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan and a bunch of other things. There's a newly released photo showing him, who directed he just directed the new Melania Trump documentary that's supposedly a big hit, at least that's what they're saying, sitting on a sofa hugging a woman right next to Jeffrey Epstein, who is sitting with another woman. Both of the women's faces have been redacted. According to the Wall Street Journal, that photo appears to have taken place in Epstein's New York townhouse that was given to him by Jean-Luc Brunel. I mean, not Jean-Luc Brunel, Les Wexner. Sorry, Les Wexner. Chris Tucker, who was in Rush Hour, directed by Brett Ratner, he appears in all of the Epstein flight logs and also is in photos with Epstein. I think it's mighty weird that, Chris Tucker keeps showing up in these videos with Bill Clinton, with Jeffrey Epstein, with Brett Ratner. Right. And Michael Jackson. We ain't got to him yet. No, don't worry, folks. Nobody said Michael Jackson did anything bad in the files. But Epstein's accuser, Joanna Schoberg, did testify that she once met Michael Jackson at his Epstein's Palm Beach, Florida home, but that nothing untoward happened with the late pop icon. So you can stop worrying, Gary. Mike, Epstein's victim, said you didn't do anything to her. Okay, so Diana Ross was at a charity dinner with Michael Jackson and Jeffrey Epstein. So that's all she says. Leonardo DiCaprio apparently needed to make some money in 2009. And so who did he go to? Jeffrey Epstein, apparently. He didn't go to all of his contacts in Hollywood. He goes to Jeffrey Epstein. And then Jeffrey Epstein contacts Peter Mendelsohn, who was the UK ambassador to the United States, who just got fired because he was in the Epstein Files. And Peter Mendelsohn got some non-American sponsors for Leonardo DiCaprio when he needed some money. Again, these relationships are incestuous. Harvey Weinstein obviously is in the files. No surprise in there. But I think one that might surprise people is Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell visited Epstein's Islands 21 times and was also very close friends with Harvey Weinstein. Her boyfriend was very close friends with Jeffrey Epstein and asked him to plan her birthday party. There's also pictures of her with Ghislaine Maxwell, with Donald Trump, and Epstein all together. She also went to the island with him and Virginia Giuffre Roberts, the young woman who blew the whistle on all this. And Virginia Roberts Giuffre actually specifically called out Naomi Campbell, along with Prince Andrew, for being one of the people who enabled Epstein. She is also listed as one of the founders of the MC2 modeling agency, along with Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel, who were both arrested for child trafficking. Now, was she a willing pawn to lure girls into this modeling firm run by these two pedophiles? Or did she know she was doing this? Or, was it against her knowledge? I mean, she definitely has some questions to answer here. The Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, described Jeffrey Epstein as the brother she always wished for. This was after he was convicted of child sex trafficking. She also requested £20,000 for her rent after her business collapsed. The following year, Ferguson called him a legend, adding, "XX, I'm at your service, just marry me." Oh, and she's talking to a child sex trafficker. Her emails also sparked speculation that Epstein had a secret baby boy. Oh, we're going to get into that in after the happy segment. Oh boy. Ooh boy. David Copperfield's in the files as well. Epstein victim Joanna Schoberg in the 2016 deposition described going to dinner at one of Epstein's homes that was attended by David Copperfield. She said Copperfield did magic tricks before asking if she was aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls. So he at least knew something untoward was going on. David Copperfield, I'm talking about. A lot of people are talking about Jay-Z and Pusha T, the two rappers. They are not in any of the Epstein emails, okay? I want to make that clear. They are not in any of photos with Epstein. They are not in any of the emails. The only thing there is a tip from 2019. Somebody called the FBI tip line and said that Jay-Z and Pusha T had trafficked them. But, I remind you, anybody can just make that call. Anybody can make that call. Nobody testified under oath that Jay-Z or Pusha T did anything to them. Nobody, they weren't referenced by Jeffrey Epstein at all, either one of them. So it's important to say that this could just be, a red herring or something that was put out there to try to throw people off the scent. But before we go to a break and do our happy happies, because we got to do the happy happies, especially after something so heavy as what we're talking about. Hollywood producer Barry Josephson emailed Jeffrey Epstein. And this is a very interesting conversation because Josephson emailed Epstein and asked him, he was pondering, I've been thinking a lot about the question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? Think about that. Hollywood producer Barry Josephson emails Jeffrey Epstein to ask him about a question that he had asked Bill Gates, that Jeffrey Epstein had asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? Just think about that. When you start talking about what the ultimate goal of all these people is, these are people who have been planning and plotting and strategizing about depopulation. And so when you see all this charity that people like Bill Gates are doing, you have to wonder exactly what they are, what is their end game here? We know Bill Gates has been trying to depopulate Africa for a long time. We know that he owns more farmland than anybody in America. It's time to start asking some real questions, folks. But we can do that after the Happy Happies, because when we get back, we're going to celebrate birthdays. We'll be right back after these on Straight Out of the Cannon with me, Scott Cannon. Please stay with us.